Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Pariram Chakshara Sadashishi by His Divine Grace Unto Channel Naravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Shahadira Thakur Ki Prem Sikho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Sivasari Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Ki Shishi Radha Krishna Shamakunda Giri Govardhana Ki Vrindavan Dhamma Ki Mayapur Navaduta Dhamma Ki Jagannath Puri Dhamma Ki Gangamai Jamunamai Ki Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Gaura Premanandi. Oh, glorious to the assembled devotees. Oh, glorious to the assembled devotees. Oh, glorious to the assembled devotees. Oh, glorious to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Oh, glorious to Sri Guru. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Reading from the Sri Caitanya Caritamrita, Adi-lila chapter 15. This is text number 11 on the board. Tabe Mishra Vishwarupera Dekhiya Yovana Kanya Kahe Vivaha Dite Karilena Mana Tabe Mishra Vishwarupera Dekhiya Yovana Kanya Chahi Vivaha Diti Karilena Mana Tabe Mishra Vishwarupera Dekhiya Yovana Kanya Kahi Vivaha Diti Karilena Mana. Tabe, thereafter, Mishra, Jagannath Mishra, Vishwarupera, of Vishwarup, his elder son, Dekhiya, seeing, Yovana, youthfulness, Kanya Chahi, wanting to find a girl, Vivaha, marriage, Dite, to give, Karilena, made, Mana, his mind. Translation. I have to read 2 or 3 other verses too to get to a purport. Thereafter, seeing Vishwarupa, a grown-up youth, Jagannath Mishra wanted to find a girl and arrange a marriage ceremony for him. Vishwarupa Sunigara Chadi Pailaila Sanyasa Kariya Tirtha Karibare Gela. Hearing of this, Vishwarupa immediately left home and went away to accept sannyas and travel from one place of pilgrimage to another. Suni Sachi Mishrera Duki Haila Mana Tabe Prabhu Mata Pitara Kaila Ashvasana. When Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra heard of the departure of their elder son, Vishwarupa, they were very unhappy. But Lord Chaitanya tried to console them. Bala Haila Vishwarupa Sanyasa Karila Pitrikul Matrikul Dui Adi-lila. My dear mother and father, the Lord said, it is very good that Vishwarup has accepted the sannyas order, for thus he has delivered both his father's family and his mother's family. And then text 15. Amita karibatoma dunhara sevana suniya santushta haila pitamatara mana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu assured his parents that he would serve them, and thus the minds of his father and mother were satisfied. The purport is to text number 14. It is sometimes said that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not approve of the acceptance of the sannyas order in this Kali Yuga, because in the Shastra it is said, Ashvameram gavalambam sannyasam palapaitrikam devarena sutotpatim kalopancha vivarjayat. It's from the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Krishna Janmakanda. In this Kali Yuga, the performance of the Ashrameda Jagya or Gomeda Jagya, sacrifices in which a horse or cow is offered, should be avoided, as should the acceptance of sannyas, the renounced order of life. Pancha. The verse describes 5 activities which should be avoided: horse or cow sacrifice, taking sannyas, offering of flesh to the forefathers, if the wife, if her husband has departed, then the brother could impregnate her in order for her to have children, but that's forbidden. And then the horse and the cow sacrifice, those 5 things are forbidden. Nevertheless, we see that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself accepted sannyas and approved of the sannyas of his elder brother, Vishwarup. It is clearly said here, Bala Haila Vishwarupa sannyas, Karila Pitrikul Matrikul Dui Adi-lila. Therefore, should it be thought that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made statements that are contradictory? No. Actually, he did not. It is recommended that one accepts sannyas to dedicate his life for the service of the Lord, and everyone must take that kind of sannyas. For accepting such sannyas, one renders the best service to both his paternal and maternal families. But one should not accept the sannyas order of the Mayavad school, which has practically no meaning. We find many Mayavadi sannyasis simply loitering in the street, thinking themselves Brahman or Narayan, and spending all day and night begging so they can fill their hungry bellies. Mayavadi sannyasis have become so degraded that there is a section of them who eat everything, just like hogs and dogs. It is such degraded sannyas that is prohibited in this age. Actually, Srila Shankaracharya's principles for the acceptance of sannyas were very strict. But later, the so-called Mayavadi sannyasis became degraded because of their false philosophy, which propounds that by accepting sannyas one becomes Narayan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected that kind of sannyas, but the acceptance of sannyas is one of the items of the Varnashram Dham. How then can it be rejected? Tasmai Sri Guru Namaha. This chapter of Adi-lila is a summary of the Lord's Purganda Lila, his pastimes in his youth, or from then he gets to the age. His brother is obviously older than him. He's reached the Yovana age. He's youthful. He's ready to be married. So Lord Chaitanya is still just finished his childhood education. He's been instructing his mother, please follow a codicy. And now suddenly his older brother leaves, prompted by his father thinking, okay, my son's old enough now, we have to get him married. He heard about that and he disappeared. He went off to take sannyas. He wasn't prepared to engage in that ashram. There's two types of brahmachari. There's the Naistika brahmachari, who remains brahmachari for life. And there's the Upakurvana brahmachari, who practices in the brahmachari ashram up till the age of 25 or thereabouts, and then decides, well, I need further purification. I need to become involved in the grihastha ashram, because I still haven't understood how to be fully renounced from the prospects of sense gratification and satisfying the needs of the body and the desires for a home, children, to expand oneself, to have offspring. So the Naistika brahmachari is rare. They've experienced that mood of renunciation. They're only interested in preaching about Krishna and discussing Krishna, in offering their life in the service of Krishna. So for them, the step from brahmachari to sannyas is natural. You have to have a taste for it, and it's not something that just comes as a whim. I'm not satisfied here. Let me try and get more prestige. Let me take to the sannyas ashram. I know that they are offered all sorts of respect, the sannyasis, and they're on a banquet program. They can travel anywhere, and they have the place where they can just be invited for a meal, many different places, speak a few sweet words, a little bit of philosophy, and that's their lot in life. Not this type of sannyas. The Mayavadis, they take it to another degraded step further, where they are thinking their perfection of life is to realise their oneness with the Supreme. And we are God. It's considered the last snare of Maya. That one has been trying to be important, to feel worthy of respect. They've tried to be a scholar, they've tried to be a businessman, they've tried to be a public personality, and none of those things worked. Okay, let me just be God. So that's the last snare of Maya. They're not inclined to serve, they want to be served. They want to be respected, offered that respect. So Krishna, Maya, Krishna's agency offers them that facility. So they prance around in their fancy clothes. We were in some places in India, and you see people who are wearing saffron, and they're out in the street begging, as Prabhupada says in the pulpit, begging to get enough to fill their bellies. And then afterwards they change their clothes and they drive off in a fancy car. They've got their great wealth from their begging, and they've got ample funds to live happily, to get what's necessary in life, a full belly. Chapatis, ghee. Some of them are quite comical. They're obviously just professional beggars, but they're wearing the sannyas robes. Prabhupada encountered a few interesting personalities in his travels. He met a man, and he was propounding that he was a sannyasi, and here is my wife. And he's got a whole family and whole entourage. And a lot of the bogus gurus, they also surround themselves by like a bevy of women and secretaries, and they're found to be gross sense enjoyers. So this type of sannyas is definitely not recommended in the age of Kali. It's a farce. Lord Indra at one stage, he introduced a particular type of sannyas where they were wearing like a reddish cloth in order to achieve some means, some ends. And then that established a sampradaya, and that's continued on. And even in the Vaishnava tradition, sannyas was something that was reintroduced by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Up until the time of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, then the renunciates, they would take the Babaji ashram, and they would just quietly go and wearing white, and then just become absorbed in their own meditation, their samadhi. So sannyas is necessary as part of the varnashram system. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he didn't act in a contradictory way. He's here glorifying his older brother to his mother and father, who are distressed that one of their children has not followed in the path, the family line of getting married, having a family, bank balance, house, and being successful in a career, and being able to pass on those material trappings to their children, to their offspring. So they were distressed. Lord Chaitanya has informed them, no, it's a great credit. It's a great credit to you. You have a son who is going to become, who is a renunciate, who is interested in understanding the absolute truth. My mother often, after I joined the temple, she would often encourage me, keep doing what you're doing, son. It's good. It's going to be good for us. We'll get benefit. Somehow or other she understood that, and she would always encourage me that if one of her siblings, one of her children, could become interested in practicing Krishna consciousness, becoming renounced, and ultimately the goal is to try and become a pure devotee, then all of the family members get delivered automatically. You don't have to worry about them separately. Prabhupada, he took sannyas, and afterwards, when he had enough means, he set up a trust to look after his previous wife and family. And his son would sometimes come and contact him asking for some assistance. He would say, give him a job. We can accommodate him. So it's not as though you're turning your back upon that member, that part of your family, that part of your life, but you're trying to do the ultimate good. The ultimate good. So Lord Chaitanya, he's encouraged Vishwarup. He's satisfied, he's happy with Vishwarup, and he's encouraging his mother and father, trying to console them that delivered both his father's family and his mother's family. Srila Prabhupada spoke on the anniversary of his sannyas, which was in 1959. He had 3 dreams of his spiritual master coming to him and encouraging him, now come and take sannyas. And his response when he woke up in the morning was he was horrified. It's such an awesome undertaking to just turn your back on ever being able to indulge in the material pleasures. And it's actually, it's said that it's one of the dishonorable things if a sannyasi takes sannyas and then falls down. Rather than being called a sannyasi, he's called a vantasi, or one who turns around and eats his own vomit. He's rejected the material world, but somehow or other he has to turn around and eat that again. So it's recommended, and it's described in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 6th chapter, that the mood of giving up, of renouncing, will be false if one still maintains a mood of sense gratification. One who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life. And he is a true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty. So to be able to perform one's service. This is the glory of devotional service, of bhakti yoga, that we understand beginning of knowledge. Perfect knowledge is to understand that I'm not the body. That this is matter. I'm the living spark, the spirit soul, encaged in matter. And I have to make the best use of a bad bargain. The facilities I've been given, Krishna has provided, or due to my past karma, whatever, due to the mercy, a spiritual master, or some special good fortune, I've got the understanding of who I actually am. Who am I? This was the first question that Sanatana Goswami, one of our great acharyas, asked when he came in contact with Lord Caitanya, when he had some time to discuss with him. People say that I'm a great scholar. I know so many languages. I'm the Prime Minister. I'm the Prime Minister of the country. And I'm glorified. But still, who am I? Ke ami? I don't know who I am. And then on top of that, why am I suffering? So this is the beginning. This is Atato Brahma Jigyasa. This is the beginning of spiritual life, beginning of actual life, to come to that point of asking, who am I? And then understanding. So then if you understand that you're not the body, I'm a servant of Krishna, that's even more perfect understanding. More perfect understanding. That I'm a servant of Krishna. I'm not the body, okay, so that's a neutral state. I'm not the body. Who am I? Who am I? I'm a servant of Krishna. I'm here in this body, it's a special facility, to enable me to perfect my life. How am I going to perfect my life? Serve. One sannyasi, he told me, if you want to make spiritual advancement, start looking after others. Look after others. And to look after others in a spiritual sense means to look after their spiritual life. So become satisfied, become full, become realized in who we actually are. Who am I? I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul, I'm a part and parcel of the Supreme, and my goal is to develop a relationship with the Supreme, and the best way to serve and to understand the Supreme is to beg for service. That's why we chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. 27,000, no, that's the names. 16 times 108 mantras we chant as a minimum every day. And we're asking, please engage me in service. Please let me serve you. Please let me serve you. Please let me be connected with you. We can't become God. That's a complete illusion. So let us serve. Let us give up that propensity, that desire to try and enjoy separately, but to cooperate and to engage in some service. So it's not an easy thing to do. You can't just knock on the door of the palace and say, I want to become the servant of the king. I want to live with you. I want to enjoy the same facilities as you, and I want a job, and I want to serve you. No, you've got to qualify yourself. It's a very privileged position to be in. So we ask daily, regularly, incessantly, please let me engage in service. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then there's no gap. If we can fill our hearts, fill our minds, fill our tongue with the holy name, then there's no gap for that nasty, creeping illusion that I'm something special, separate from Krishna. That's the influence of Maya. And the Mayavadis, they've perfected it. They've just sold out. We discovered an old Catholic or Christian writing from the mid-18th century. And one of the sayings which stuck out in our mind was, if you're not fighting against that illusory concept, if you're not fighting against Maya, if you're not vigilant against the influence of Maya, it means Maya has captured you. If you're not rallying, determined to avoid the influence of the material energy, then it means you're embracing the material energy. One guru and a teacher, they had a pastime. The student didn't understand how powerful was that influence of the illusory energy. So he asked the teacher, please describe to me what is the influence of this illusion, this false ego, this concept that I am great, separate from the Supreme. So the teacher said, come back the next day. And then the student came back the next day, and as he entered into the ashram, there was a teacher embracing a tree. And the student thought, well, this is pretty funny, what's going on? And he went up to the teacher and said, Guruji. The teacher was let me go, embracing the tree. And the student went up to the teacher and said, Guruji, don't be so silly. Just let go. And after a short time, and emphasizing the point, then the teacher said, this is the illusory energy. We think that we are being in control of the situation, and that the illusory energy is just there, not so bad, it's a reasonably tame thing, but we are holding on to it. We've got our investments in that illusory energy, in that illusory concept, that I'm pretty good, that I can enjoy separately, that I'll never die. This is the greatest illusion. All around us we can see that so many previous relatives have lived and died. They've entered into the kingdom of death. And we look around and we think, no, it's never going to happen to me. This is the greatest illusion. But everybody has to go through that process. That's the natural stages of life: birth, death, old age, and disease. They're the real problems of life. They cannot be avoided, but they can be overcome. They can be overcome by the process of transcending, understanding that it's only the external manifestation of the living entity, the body, which is like a glove fitting over a hand. The body, the soul is like the hand, and then the glove fitting over, that's the body. But the soul is something separate. And the soul is eternal. The soul will live on beyond the body. So if we practice within this life to not pander to the needs of the body, but constantly hearing about the existential position of the soul and that spiritual realm where we can actually live without the encumbrances of the body. When we become fixed and convinced in our spiritual identity, when we become fixed in our understanding that we're not the body, that we're a servant of Krishna. And who is Krishna? That's the most perfect knowledge. Perfect knowledge is I'm not the body. More perfect knowledge is I'm a servant of Krishna. Most perfect knowledge is who is Krishna? Where does Krishna live? What is his name? What is he like? What is the name of his parents? Who are his friends? All this information, then we can actually live in that realm. We still practice. The Varnashram system is there. There's the different orders of life and the different types of work. Those things we do, but that's a social management, it's a social arrangement in order to have peacefulness within society, a cohesive, properly functioning society. The goal of all of the different ashrams, the student ashram, the family ashram, the retired life and the renounced life, the sannyas, is to put Krishna in the center. And the sannyasi, they've taken that vow where they turn their back on material life, and they're firmly convinced they can travel in a fearless state of mind because they're satisfied with understanding who they are and where they're going. And that Krishna is always with you, always protecting you. So it's rare. Manushyanam sastrashu kastidyatadistidam katadamyatasidam stimam veditatvata, that out of many thousands among men, one may understand that he's not the body. And of thousands of men who have understood they're not the body, very rare is one who understands that he's a servant of Krishna. And even more rare, 1 in a million, is one who's achieved liberation. And then on top of that, even higher, even rarer, is one who can fully understand who is God, who is Krishna, and what is their relationship with Krishna. So we're fortunate. We've come in contact. We've come in contact with these personalities who are acting on this platform, who are living this life, who are committed to such an understanding, and who are teaching, who are giving to others this same sweet information. Not just information, but then a practical way of experiencing it. To chant and dance, to take Krishna Prasadam, to just constantly be immersed in that atmosphere. And you find that all your needs are fulfilled. So we're fortunate. Somehow or other we've come in contact with such a source of information, such a lifestyle. We should take advantage of it and try and perfect our lives. The goal of life is to understand who we are, perfect that understanding, live on that platform, and then share it with others. To try and take as many people as possible, to make as many people happy in a real sense of things, and assist them in their journey back home, back to the spiritual world. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's come, he's made it easy, he's broken open the storehouse of love of Godhead, and he's freely distributing it. Just chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, in the association of devotees, and life will become sublime. So we're reading about the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. There's further instructions coming in next weekend from the Chaitanya Caritamrita. Does anybody have any questions or any comments? Anton, we've got a microphone here, so please speak into that for the benefit of people outside.
Shanti Prabhu, thank you very much for the class. I have 2 questions. First question is with Mayavadi sannyasi. Do we still respect them as sannyasis for the followers of lifestyle that they do? And if we do still respect them if they approach and try to interact with us, how do we do that? How do we respect them without taking on how do we disagree with them fully and respect them fully at the same time?
Okay. Yeah, Prabhupada describes in the purport that Srila Shankaracharya, actually Srila Shankaracharya's principles for the acceptance of sannyas were very strict. But later, the so-called Mayavadi sannyasis became degraded because of their false philosophy. So you can offer them respect, and because they're dedicated or they're committed or they've made a show of performing an austere vow in order to achieve their version of success in life, then they're better than just gross materialists, gross sense enjoyers. So we can respect them, honour them. Like you often meet Christians and they're antagonistic, but at least they're talking about God. And if you can deal with them nicely, eventually they might even take a book or do some service, and then their knowledge will become more complete. So the way to deal with somebody and not to antagonize them, not to criticize, is to deal with their philosophy. Prabhupada, he wouldn't get labelled as an antagonistic, somebody who's blaspheming. So he would say, what is their philosophy? And then he would dismantle the philosophy, saying this is nonsense. And then eventually, because some people are so committed, like the founders or the modern day representatives of the impersonalists, he would just straight out call them rascals and nonsense. So generally you try and work out their philosophy, and you try and expose to them or describe to them how their philosophy is lacking, and supply them with a more complete understanding. But still, generally, unless one is very fixed in our philosophy, very, very advanced, then better to avoid discussing philosophy, because their philosophy is it's based on word jugglery and sentimentalism, and it's very insidious, it's poisonous. If you hear the words from the Mayavadi, then your spiritual life can become doomed. So in the early stage, it's better to protect oneself, protect one's little devotional creeper, and not try and mingle with people who appear to be advanced, appear to be spiritually developed, but you can see by their behaviour they don't have a taste. It's dry. It's just pure renunciation, but there's no real joy there. And when they do speak, it's often very confusing. Many times people have attended a lecture like that, and they say, wow, you ask them, what was it all about? I couldn't understand a thing. It's just word juggling. It's clouding the actual meaning. Lord Caitanya, he sat and listened for 7 days to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya recite knowledge about the Vedanta Sutra. And at the end of those 7 days, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, have you got any questions? And he made a statement, Lord Caitanya made a statement in response. Well, actually, the Vedanta Sutra is very clear, but you've clouded the meaning. You've made it all distorted. You're a fool. And that was enough to change the heart of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He went home at night and he prayed to the goddess Saraswati, who was one of his worshipful deities. What happened? I'm a big pundit. And she revealed to him, no, the personality you just met is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, non-different from Krishna. So he surrendered at that point. He became humble. He was sincere. He wanted to find the truth, but he was bewildered. He was misled. So to stick with it and to offer people Krishna consciousness, ultimately that's the best way to win their hearts. These are the weapons of Lord Caitanya.
Thank you, Prabhu. Second question I have is, you stated that we're not qualified to serve Krishna. Directly, so we chant Hare Krishna mantra as a means to ask for service. And from what I understand, you have implied that chanting the Hare Krishna mantra asking for service somehow qualifies us to grant service. Or the question is, what qualifies us? What do we do to qualify ourselves?
What qualifies us to grant service?
Yes.
Well, we need to understand what is service, and we need to become expert in that service. We need to get that service. And it's easy to get the service and then to have the service taken away from you. If you're in a house, you're a guest, and the guest wants to get rid of you, they stop feeding you. Or they take away your service. No, you can't do anything. Just sit in the corner. You're not allowed to do anything. You can't help. Just no, I don't want your help. Don't do anything. So you have to be a welcome guest. You have to be a contributing guest. You have to be a responsive guest. You have to be like a submissive, a receptacle to get that service. Service is something that is given by the spiritual master. It's prescribed. Like you can do service, you can clean up everybody's shoes and stuff like that, but it's a disturbance. People come out, where's my shoe? And you've put it somewhere else. You have to work out by taking the shelter of the spiritual master, what is your prescribed service? You might do somebody else's service very, very well, but it's not your prescribed service, so it's a waste of time. So to find out, you have to get the mercy of a spiritual master. You have to get the mercy and understand what service can I do, what is my service, and that requires the proper attitude. Often we get into a service or we get into some comfortable position, and then we get puffed up and we try and lord it over. We try and show what we've got to give people something which we're not really qualified to deal with. We're speaking beyond our realization. I'm just a little speck, but I'm acting like a big grand poobah. So to be able to, you have to develop that service attitude, and then you can invite people in to share the service that you understand, and they're sharing your service. And eventually, when they become purified from that service, then they'll develop their own service. So, and that becomes that comes as a result of chanting Hare Krishna properly, and hearing from the devotees properly, and studying the literature properly. When we understand what is service, where is service coming from, what is the nature of service, what's our position as a servant, then we'll be given more and more and more. And we don't have to try and endeavour separately to get more service. We just have to do what we've been given, what is our prescribed service, properly. We need to maintain what we've been given. It's not a passion to try and expand it. Don't try and expand it. Do what you can. And then automatically, when Krishna sees and he's happy with you that you're satisfied with that and it's working properly, he'll expand it of its own. And suddenly you'll have so much service. You say, can you help me? And then in a humble way, you're asking for somebody to come in and enter into that thing. Not that you're trying to provide them with the benefit of your great wisdom. So, 6:30. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Dhammadastikama ki jai. Mantra Kartik ki jai. Oh, glorious, distant glories.